Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this latest edition of Re-Tifos, where I take old stories I've narrated and update them to modern audio standards. This particular story is called Bluff, written by bellumaster. A warning shot seared across the nose of the tiny vessel. The shielding unit overloaded and failed, unable to contest with the pure energy that encouraged its failure and demanded obedience. The tiny vessel slowly rotated in space to face its pursuer. The distance between the two ships shrank as the huge collector drew nearer. On the deck of the smaller vessel, a tiny thing barely able to sustain its crew of 4, the captain swore.
"Beth, I want those shields back online. Jamie, log all activity."
"I'm on it, but..."
"I don't think now, Beth. Ash, did you get that turret working?"
"Of course I did. What good would it do against that thing?" The monstrous vessel bore down on them like a glass asteroid. It was perfectly cut and formed, seamless and without transition, with hundreds of different inwards and outwards angles that made up the hull. It certainly wasn't aerodynamic, but there wasn't air in space, so it didn't matter too much. The ship had clearly been able to outpace their tiny one. Anthony, the captain, cursed again from his position underneath one of the access panels, desperately trying to rewire the jump drive. He had figured that they would hold out on repairing it for another week or so while they made local runs, but that had proven to be a fatal mistake. He stood up and stomped over to the light controls, desperate measures in mind.
"Jamie, fire the stress flares."
"Standard?"
"No, all of them, everywhere. Fire them all over the place. Light us up."
"Why?"
"Fire the flares, Jamie."
Fine. Anthony turned every light on the ship. Landing lights, search floodlights, distress patterns.
"Wash, angle the solar panels."
Got it.
"Beth, how's it coming?"
"I need at least half an hour in there. The wires jumped out of the..."
5 minutes, Beth."
The huge alien ship loomed upon them like a whale towards a minnow. The multifaceted planes of the ship cast it in a random checkered pattern of light and dark, dancing in the flashing lights of their little vessel. A high-pitched siren noise, pitched like shattering glass, assaulted their ears, and the alien voice came through to their radio. "Cease movement, turn off distress beacons. There is no one to see them. Prepare for collection." Jamie shot Anthony a fearful look. Collectors didn't lie. There was no one to save them. While honest folk scrapped and scavenged their living from the wreckages of battlefields, collectors took only from the living on the assumption that anything that wasn't moving was unworthy of effort. They hunted in far-off regions of space, preying on those smaller and slower than them. Collector ships were often crewed by one of 3 different species, but never by more than one. Anthony had no idea who was on the other side of the radio. He decided to bluff.
"The distress beacons are for your sake, you mangy vultures."
Ash gawked at him. "What are you..."
"So are the lights in movement. We did our best to keep you at bay, but since you insist, it looks like we'll have to bisect your ship."
The radio was silent for a moment. "But is your translator working correctly? For a moment I thought that you were threatening..." Anthony pushed Ash out of the way and grabbed the microphone.
"I am threatening you. You helium-filled waste of particles. Back off, and nobody gets hurt."
"Your ship is disabled. Your singular turret is only capable of enough output to breach 18 square meters of shield. There is no possible backing to your threat. Please end your lives to cease the duties of the collection crew." The mighty ship loomed closer, dwarfing their tiny vessel like an elephant over an ant. Anthony hissed to Jamie and Ash.
"Keep flashing the lights, switches, everything. Move everything we have."
"But the calibrations..."
"Do it!"
Anthony turned back to the microphone and, slowly opening the gate of the collector ship, he took a deep breath, removed all semblance of civility, and let loose the pent-up stress and rage from the past 3 years of scavenging.
"You pathetic, cowardly, developmentally disabled excuse for sentient mud. You listen up."
"Excuse me, that's very..."
"No, you listen, Cold Runner. All you do is hunt down others. I get it. You failed out of whatever honorable vocation your sorry parents wanted for you, and now you're trying to make it up in the scrummiest way possible. The only possible way that you could be even more revolting to everyone that knows of your existence is if they could see you, because I bet you're ugly as the devil himself. Only he was pretty once."
Hey now.
Shut up! You blow-burning, vapor-huffing, crap-licking waste stuff. You smell like garbage. You look like someone smeared a pipe rat in engine grease, and your parents hate you. The only reason you got out here in your knockoff art project of a ship is because whatever evolutionary snake of a planet you came from wanted you gone, you filthy, lice-ridden hyena. And if they look or act anything like you do, I'm sure they're all dead by now because of self-terminated out of shame. The same shame that you should have for even trying to exist the way that you do. You and your entire crew of pirate wannabe rejects.
Anthony stopped to heave in more air. There was silence for a moment. Both Jamie and Ash were staring at him with wide eyes. Beth was snickering somewhere. That psycho. They were all going to die. The alien voice came through again, slightly quiet and quivering.
You...
Anthony launched off again. And another thing. If your half-decomposed brain thinks for even a single nanosecond like we're just going to roll over and let your squeaky rust bucket dissect us for parts, you fail to understand anything about pride and the principle of professionalism, which is obvious from where you're rotting right now. So I'm going to spell it out for you, you illiterate dropout.
Anthony started to raise his voice even louder. Somehow, as his tiny ship flashed and rolled and flapped at the wheel before the massive collector.
If you come a single league closer, I will attack. If you try field us in, I will attack. If you fire on us, I will attack. If you follow us, I will attack. I will hunt down whatever passes for a bridge on that disco ball pinata of yours, burn a hole through your knockoff discount hull, and ram this entire ship down your throat. After I come out to the other end, I will set my core to blow and rid existence of your disgusting presence, which I should probably do anyway, you filth. Now I don't got all day to wait for an answer, so let's hear something out of your sniveling mouth.
He finished, gasping for breath, blood up and face red. The massive, multi-planar shielded ship floated, dull, like a castle with its lights out. It was quiet for the better part of a minute. Anthony looked over to his crew. Jamie was pantomiming clapping motion, and Ash had his arms crossed, head shaking in disbelief. Beth rolled out of the access duct. "Shields up, Cap. I'm ready if you are." Anthony looked to the others. Jamie nodded, with a determined look on her face, while Ash shrugged. "Might as well." Anthony cracked his neck.
"Stations, let's do it."
The radio buzzed, and a different tentative voice came through. "The previous commanding officer is currently unfit to communicate or lead, so I'll take the position. You will not do any of the aforementioned actions, as they are self-destructive and would not end with you and your crew living."
"Neither would bending over for you, you gas-eyed excuse for a maggot. I'm getting bored of waiting for an answer." "You wouldn't." "I would. Try me. I dare you to try me. I'll blow us both to bits and be hailed as a saint while scavengers barbecue over your corpses."
"This isn't..."
"Come on, make a move. Do it, scumbag. Let's burn, baby."
Anthony whooped with suicidal glee. Jamie and Beth and even Ash joined in. Muffled voices came from the other end of the radio. Anthony squinted at the ship.
"You better be writing your last will and testament, you slimy, worm-ridden..."
Enough. We're leaving.
Leave us alone." The gargantuan ship lit up and slowly began backing away from their tiny vessel. The connection started to fade.
Damned humans.
"What was that? Get back here, you cowardly..."
The connection severed, and they were left in silence, watching the enormous collector ship shrink slowly into the distance. Anthony suddenly became aware of the adrenaline coursing through him and shook himself, then set down a microphone and turned to his crew with wide eyes.
We're good."
"We're good?"
"What the hell?"
Nervous laughter turned into actual celebratory cheering before they quietened down. Anthony had both hands on his head, eyes wide.
"God, that was crazy. What was I saying?"
Beth punched him in the arm and bit her lip.
"Hey, I thought it was kinda hot."
He laughed again, tension rushing out of him. Ash slouched into the pilot's chair. "We still gotta get out of here. Really messed up all of our calibrations, flailing around like that."
"Yeah, that's true. We should fix that."
He moved over to one of the kinetic control panels. Jamie looked up from her seat, mouth open in a smile. "You're not going to believe this."
"What?"
She pointed at the console. "We were recording. All of it." Anthony shook his head and blew air out of his mouth.
Dandy, let's go home.
End of story. I would just like to thank the T5 supporters: Bushmaster 117, Casper Arnholtz, Drexzoon WRE, Elijah Silvercross, Gray, John Carrington, and Severin Cerberus. Thank you very much.